The United States Marine Corps has built quite the reputation for itself in the US military. Despite being one of the smaller branches, it stands out among the rest, and the Marines are definitely known for doing more with less. And as a premier fighting force, the Marine Corps has set a higher standard for its Marines, and its physical training is no exception. Every branch in the US military has a physical fitness test that its members must pass in order to join the service and stay in the service. But no other branch does its fitness test like the Marine Corps. In fact, its physical fitness test, also called the PFT, is the most difficult conventional physical fitness test of the 6 US military branches. Whether you're here because you're interested in joining the Marine Corps or you're wanting to know what it takes to become a Marine, by the end of this video, you will know what the Marine PFT is, the standards that will be expected of those who take it, and how to crush it so you can be best prepared as possible. In the icing on the cake, you'll be learning invaluable tips and tricks from an expert guest that we have in this video. What's up everyone? I'm Veteran Vinny, the voice behind General Discharge. Join me as I cover the US military's toughest physical fitness test. This is How to Master the Marine PFT. Before we jump into the components of the Marine PFT, it's important to add some additional context so you have a better perspective of its purpose, as well as the frequency of when people take this test. As I said at the beginning of the video, every military branch has its own respective PT test. The Marines, being the Marines, have naturally made their version the toughest. The Marine Corps' mission calls for a higher caliber of physical fitness with its Marines, so much so that they include exercises and distances that are typically seen in special operations physical fitness tests. And on top of that all, they also have a separate, additional physical fitness test called the Combat Fitness Test, or CFT, but that would need to be covered in its own video. Whether someone is enlisting into Marine boot camp or commissioning as an officer through Officer Candidate School or the Naval Academy, every single person who wants to be a Marine has to pass the Marine PFT. Preparing for the Marine PFT takes a lot of time and motivation, but how are you preparing for the next big data leak? If you're using Aura, today's sponsor, you won't have to worry about that. If you watched the news at all last year, you were bound to see countless different big companies with terrible security getting hacked and their data leaked. But as much as those companies claim to be the victims, it was our data that was leaked to the dark web. Data like your phone number, email, home address, and even your social security number. These leaks have affected the lives of millions. If you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, then this should be a huge wake-up call. You've never been more vulnerable online than you are right now. The reality is that it's on us to take care of our own safety, and that's why I use Aura. They identify these data brokers that sell my info online and submit opt-out requests on my behalf, as well as keeping an eye on the dark web for me. Aura sends me alerts if they find my personal info has been exposed, and they'll even immediately give you a heads up if someone tries to use your data to access your credit or bank accounts. That kind of proactive protection is literally priceless nowadays. If you're ready to take control of your online safety, you can go to our link aura.com/generaldischarge to try 14 days for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Don't let people exploit and profit off your private information. Again, that's aura.com/generaldischarge for your 14-day free trial. Links in the description or pinned comment below, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Now back to the video. Like any other PT test, there are minimums for the Marine PFT. And while the minimums might get you through entry-level training, if you're only hitting the minimums, you have a lot more work cut out for you. And like anything in life, you should be exceeding the standard. Several opportunities in the Marine Corps revolve around having a first-class PFT score, which we'll get to later in the video. Now that you have some basic background on the Marine PFT, let's dive into the test itself. In order, the Marine PFT consists of max pull-ups or push-ups, a max plank, and a 3-mile run. While these events can technically be administered in any order, what you see on screen is usually the order of the test. All PFT events will be conducted in a single session, not to exceed 2 hours in duration. Marine Corps instruction states that transition between events should afford adequate time to recover, stretch, hydrate, and prepare for the next event. For perspective, the Marine Corps is the only military branch that has pull-ups in its fitness test. And if that wasn't enough, the 3-mile run is the longest running event for the conventional forces. Every other PT test out there that has pull-ups or a 3+ mile run is one for a special operations community. As you can see, covering the Marine PFT is a big task to tackle, so much so that we had to bring in the legendary Stew Smith to give us a hand with breaking down each part of the test. Stew Smith's a former Navy SEAL who has spent decades helping those who want to join the military by maximizing their physical test scores and leading them to success in training and beyond. We have him here with us to help you out as we go section by section of the Marine PFT. Among many other things, he's a certified strength and conditioning specialist who's written several books on the topics of training and preparing for the military, law enforcement, and special operations selection.
Hey everybody, Stew Smith here, and thank you, General Discharge, for having me back on. I'm honored you would have me back on to discuss the Marine Corps physical fitness test, the Marine PFT, if you will, because it is one of the hardest fitness tests out there. And if you were to look at the spectrum of the branches of service, it is the hardest general fitness test that every Marine has to take in the military. And main reason is because the run's twice as long, and you have pull-ups, and most programs do not have pull-ups unless they're in the special ops world. So the Marines are special, and I'm honored to be able to be a part of it. The way I teach fitness in the military, we call tactical fitness now, is there's 3 phases. First phase, if you want to serve, you have to crush this fitness test. Any branch of service has a fitness test. You have to be able to meet those standards in order to get accepted into the training program. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is getting through the training, whatever that is. Could be a boot camp, basic training, special ops selection. There is a specific training program that you need to focus on that will prepare you for, if you want to go Marine Corps, Parris Island, or Marine Corps OCS, TBS, Infantry Officer School, Recon School. All of those are specific selection training programs that will require you to have significant amount of time working on things other than just a fitness test. And then phase 3 of tactical fitness is what you do as an operator, in this case as a Marine, to be able to do your job effectively. So with that, let's get talking about the Marine Corps PFT.
Happy to have you on here with us again, Stu. Okay, let's begin our breakdown of the Marine PFT. You guys are getting spoiled because we have another special guest, Anonymous Andy, helping us out here today. The OGs of General Discharge definitely know who this is. We're going to start with the pull-ups, push-ups. You elect to do one or the other, but your score will take a hit if you decide to do the push-ups instead of pull-ups, because the max score of push-ups only gets you 70% of the max score you'd get with pull-ups. This is the official US Marine Corps instruction of the pull-ups portion. This is not a timed event and can be conducted either indoors or outdoors. Diameter of the bar may range between 1 and 1 3/4 inches. The use of athletic tape on the bar is authorized. The bar must be high enough to allow the tallest Marine's legs to hang straight without touching the ground when arms are fully extended. Sweatshirts, running suit top, or long sleeve shirt must be removed during the conduct of the pull-up event in order to observe the lockout of the elbows with each repetition. The preparatory command is ready and the execute command is begin. Assistance to the bar with a step up, being lifted up, or jumping up is authorized. Assistance up to the bar will not be used as momentum into the first pull-up. The bar must be grasped with both palms facing either forward or to the rear. Gloves are authorized for wear, but wrist wraps are not authorized. The correct starting position begins when arms are fully extended beneath the bar, feet are free from touching the ground or any bar mounting assist, and the body is motionless. Legs may be positioned in a straight or bent position, but knees may not be raised above the waist. One repetition consists of raising the body with the arms until the chin is above the bar, and then lowering the body until the arms are fully extended. Repeat as many repetitions as possible. At no time during the execution of this event can a Marine rest the chin on the bar. The intent is to execute a vertical dead hang pull-up. A certain amount of inherent body movement will occur as the pull-up is executed. However, the intent is to avoid a pendulum-like motion that enhances the ability to execute the pull-up. Whipping, kicking, or kipping of the body or legs, or any leg movement used to assist in the vertical progression of the pull-up is not authorized. If observed, the repetition does not count for score. A repetition will be counted when a correct and complete pull-up is performed. The goal of this event is for Marines to execute as many correct and complete pull-ups before dropping off the bar. Stu, what do you got for us on the pull-ups?
Pull-ups. Like I said, this is the great differentiator between all fitness tests in the military. If you look across the board, all service selection, you will see pull-ups in special ops programs and in the Marine Corps. Pull-ups are hard. 100% of your body weight is being pulled up over that bar. And it may take you months just to get your first pull-up. But if you really want to crush a Marine Corps fitness test, you're going to have to get over 20 in order to max it. So here's how we do that. My advice on pull-ups is don't do pull-ups every day. Try an upper body workout every other day in a week and work on your volume in order to, 1, get stronger, and then 2, increase your muscle stamina so you do more. I always tell people your first pull-up is a strength exercise. Your 20th pull-up is a muscle stamina exercise. Now, how do you do these pull-ups? Well, when you're hanging on that pull-up bar, it's up to you how you want to hold your hand. Some people like to hold it this way. I do, especially if I'm doing a lot of pull-ups. This way with my thumbs on the bar allows my grip to stay a little longer. However, if you want to work your grip a little more, hold them this way. You can do something called a false grip and get your knuckles on top of the bar and under. And that is sometimes easier to pull your chin over. You can actually pull yourself to that bar a little bit. Whenever you're hanging, your arms are straight. You want to look up and kind of arch your back a little bit so you bring your chest up to the bar and throw your chin over that bar right here. And that's the up position. So if it looks hard, that's because it is. And most men cannot do pull-ups when you talk about average Americans. Same for women. Most women can't. But to be a Marine, you're going to have to know how to do pull-ups, even though you can opt out of pull-ups and do the push-up. You don't get all the points for that if you choose to do the push-up test. However, you're going to need the ability to pull yourself over walls and over obstacles, as in the obstacle course. So don't blow off the pull-ups just because you have an opportunity to get tested with the push-up. In my mind, you should be able to do both and max both. Don't go into this thing thinking minimum standards. Focus on the hard thing, work on your pull-ups, work on your push-ups. Yeah, if you want to test push-ups, you can, but if you really want to be hardcore Marine Corps, go with pull-ups.
Thanks, Stu. A quick note on the minimum scores. The minimum combined score required to pass the Marine PFT is 150. Keep in mind that getting the minimum score in each event will not get you the points you need to pass. You'll have to get additional points in at least one event to not fail. Failure to meet the minimum requirements in any one event constitutes a failure of the entire test, regardless of the total number of points earned. There's a Marine PFT calculator that you can use to see how you did, and we'll make sure to link it below. Here's the thing though, there are age ranges that apply to your scores. There are tables that explain this more in depth, but keep in mind that the 17 to 20-year-old age group is used to score all recruits at Marine Boot Camp on PFT performance, regardless of age. Age groups specific to an individual's age will be used to score officer candidates, basic and warrant officer corps students, and midshipmen from the Naval Academy and Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps on PFT performance. And when someone is in the fleet, their age will be a factor in scoring. Covering the Marine PFT in depth isn't as easy as it might seem. The minimum pull-ups for those aged 17 to 20 is 4 for males and 1 for females. Okay, if you decide not to do the pull-ups, here's how the push-ups portion goes. This is a timed event to perform as many push-ups as possible in 2 minutes. This event can be conducted either indoors or outdoors. Sweatshirts will be removed during the conduct of the push-up event to observe full extension of the arms and upper arms above the elbow parallel to the deck. The preparatory command is ready and the execute command is begin. On the command ready, the Marine will assume the front-leaning rest position by placing the hands where comfortable. The feet may be together or 12 inches apart, measured between the feet. When viewed from the side, the body should form a generally straight line from the shoulders to the ankles. On the command begin the push-up by bending the elbows and lowering the entire body as a single unit until the upper arms are at least parallel to the ground. Then, return to the starting position by raising the entire body until the arms are fully extended. Marines may not rest their chest on the deck except as required to ensure that the upper arms are at least parallel to the deck. The body must remain rigid in a generally straight line and move as a unit while performing each repetition. At the end of each repetition, the scorer will state the number of repetitions completed correctly. If the Marine fails to keep the body generally straight, to lower the whole body until the upper arms are at least parallel to the ground, or to extend the arms completely, that repetition will not count, and the scorer will repeat the number of the last correctly performed repetition. If the Marine fails to perform the first 10 push-ups correctly, the scorer will tell the Marine to go to the knees and will explain the deficiencies. The Marine will then be sent to the end of the line to be retested. Don't be that guy. After the first 10 push-ups have been performed and counted, no restarts are allowed. The test will continue, and any incorrectly performed push-ups will not be counted. An altered front-leaning rest position is the only authorized rest position. That is, the Marine may sag in the middle or flex the back. When flexing the back, the knees may be bent, but not to such an extent that the Marine is supporting most of the body weight with the legs. If this occurs, the Marine's performance will be terminated. The Marine must return to and pause in the correct starting position before continuing. If the Marine rests on the ground or raises either hand or foot from the ground, the performance will be terminated. The Marine may reposition the hands and/or feet during the event as long as they remain in contact with the ground at all times. Stu, what say you about the push-ups?
Okay, for the push-ups, you don't have to do push-ups if you do pull-ups. However, if your pull-ups aren't up to par, this is one of the only tests I have found where you can opt out of pull-ups and do push-ups. However, you don't get full points for making the easier choice. My advice, just get good at pull-ups. You won't have to worry about this section. However, if that is not you and you need to do push-ups in place of pull-ups, make sure when you are in the up position, your arms are straight. I personally like to have a 11 o'clock with my left hand and a 1 o'clock point with my right hand, and when I come down, I have to have my upper arms parallel to the floor, chest close to the floor but not touching it, and all the way back up. And whenever you do this slight angle, it's like a 1-inch angle here. You can see how my hands are not this way or this way. They're right here. This is going to put your chest, shoulders, and triceps in the best position possible for you to get the most amount of reps. Because here's what happens when you don't do this is your arms are going to come in here close like this, like 0-degree angle with your torso. That's all triceps. If you go up like this, that's all shoulders. You want to be somewhere right in the middle. And if you have your hands just like this, you're going to create that 45-degree angle with your torso and your top of your arm when you're in that down position. Another place to look at is when you're in the down position practicing push-ups, make sure your hands create a straight line right across your chest, just lower than the shoulders. It's very similar to a bench press, but not too high, not too low. You don't want it down here by your stomach. You don't want it up here by your face. So do a down position push-up, and if you look to the left and you see your hand right there, you will know your hands are in the wrong position. So bring them down below your shoulders, just wider than your shoulders and slightly canted, just about 1 inch to the left and right. And you got yourself a really good push-up that's going to divide your chest, shoulders, and triceps equally so you can get more push-ups. Crank them out, practice them like that, and you'll perform a lot better.
The minimum push-ups for those aged 17 to 20 is 42 for males and 19 for females. The next event of the Marine PFT is the plank. This part used to be crunches, but a few years ago the Marine Corps transitioned it to planks. The event consists of maintaining a proper plank position for as long as possible or until the max time to earn 100 points. The plank shall be conducted on a firm or suitably padded, non-slip, level surface. The plank should be conducted as follows. To start the plank, elbows should be bent and lowered to the ground so that the forearms are lying flat on the ground, with the body in a straight line similar to a push-up position, with feet hip-width apart. Elbows should be aligned below the shoulders with forearms parallel to the body at about shoulder width distance. Hands must be on the ground, either in fists with pinky side of the hand touching the ground or lying flat with palms down. Hips should be lifted off the ground with feet flexed and the bottom of the toes on the ground. The back, buttocks, and legs shall be straight from head to heels and must remain so throughout the test. Toes, forearms, and fists or palms shall remain in contact with the floor, not a wall or other vertical support surface. Marines should look at the floor to keep the head in line with the shoulders, back, and legs. Once the Marine is in the correct position, the administrator shall signal the start and call out 15-second time intervals until the completion of the exercise. Time is recorded with a stopwatch to the nearest second. The exercise is ended when the Marine touches the floor with any part of the body except the toes, forearms, fists, or palms, raises one or both feet or hands off the floor, or fails to maintain the back, buttocks, and legs in a straight line from head to heels. Involuntary muscle spasms resulting from maximum exertion during the course of the exercise is permitted as long as the proper plank position is maintained. Marines will hold this position for as long as possible or until the maximum time of 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Stu, what do you have for us on the planks?
As you may have heard, most of the military has gotten rid of sit-ups and they have replaced it with the plank pose. All the major branches have replaced sit-ups with plank pose, crunches with plank pose. People who still use sit-ups will be your special ops programs, your PJs, buds, SWIC, diver, all of those use the PST. For the IFT and the PST both have sit-ups in them. But for the Marine Corps, you're no longer doing sit-ups or crunches anymore, but you got to do a plank pose. My advice is on the plank pose is this is just free points, right? As long as you practice planking, and that means whether you're up in the push-up position as part of your workout or actually on a plank pose, it should be part of your daily workout. Whether you're doing them every day or every other day, that's up to you, but you should be isometrically holding your torso off the ground for 4 to 5 minutes. In fact, we do this one workout that I love to do. It's called Death by Push-Ups. Could actually be called Death by Plank if you want. If you want to get good at push-ups and planking at the same time, here's what you do. Any day that you're doing push day, upper body day, drop down for 5 minutes and you're going to get in a plank pose. Every minute on the minute, you're going to do 10 push-ups. You can't go to your knees. You can't shake out an arm. Just plank pose and 10 push-ups every minute on the minute. And let me tell you, both your push-ups and your plank pose will get a whole lot easier. A lot of times people who can't do a lot of push-ups fall to the ground mainly because of their core is not strong enough, and that plank will help you with keeping your back straight and keeping you in that good push-up position. So they complement each other. My advice is anytime you're working upper body, mix in the plank pose, you will get better at plank pose. And there's a couple ways to do that. I personally like doing it this way, sitting on my forearms on the ground, elbows directly under my shoulders, and kind of flexing my lats a little bit and flexing my abs. You can even flex your butt a little bit, and that rigidity across your whole body is just going to make the plank a little bit easier. But I will tell you this, you have to get in shape to do it. So make sure you're actually doing plank poses for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, because if you can hold the plank for over 4 minutes, you're going to get maximum points in the Marine Corps.
There's a gender and age neutral scoring chart for the planks, with the minimum time being 1 minute and 10 seconds. And the last, and certainly not least event of the Marine PFT, the 3-mile run. Older Marines aged 46 and up can do a timed 5,000 meter row in place of the 3-mile run, but we're not covering that here. This is a timed event and can be conducted either indoors or outdoors. Running this event on a treadmill is not authorized. The run course will be 3 miles exactly, no variation authorized, and must be measured for accuracy and set over reasonably level ground. The preparatory command is ready and the execute command is go. The course should be an out and back or a wide loop course. The run course should not include numerous sharp turns that would force a participant to slow down excessively to remain on the course. A determination as to whether the track is a yard or meter track must be made and the track measured to ensure accurate distance prior to conducting the PFT. Run courses should not require a Marine to do more than 12 laps to cover 3 miles. For example, a course should not cannot be shorter than 440 yards per lap. The goal of this event is for Marines to complete the measured course as quickly as possible. Stu, let's hear what you have to say about the 3-mile run.
No other run in the U.S. military is longer than this Marine Corps 3-mile timed run. Every Marine has to run 3 miles. And let me tell you, that's a different game compared to the Navy and Air Force and Coast Guard who are running 1.5 miles, the Army who's running 2 miles. You know, that's a little bit harder, but it is nowhere near the 3-mile timed run. And you have to really get good at it. If you are trying to max it, you're going to have to get a 6-minute mile. So roughly in that 18-minute zone to max it, depending on your age. And that's not easy. I think the fastest I've ever run 3 miles is barely 18 minutes. And I spent a lot of time trying to get to that 6-minute mile pace. I was pretty comfortable running 7-minute miles for multiple miles over that, but 6-minute mile, that's a tough one. So my advice is this: whether you want to max it or just score well on it, you need to be in that 6 to 7 minute mile zone. And if you can do that, you're going to be scoring the most points you can in that Marine Corps 3-mile timed run. And the way to practice that is, one, build up your mileage. So you are now probably running 20, 25 miles a week at least, and then start working a couple of days a week on your pace. That means you need to muscle memory what that 6-minute mile pace is. If you're at an 8-minute mile pace right now and you want to get to a 7-minute mile pace, your goal pace is a 7-minute mile. So that means your quarter miles are 1:45. Or if you want to get a 6-minute mile, your quarter miles are a 1:30. If you're going to do 800s, that means your 7-minute mile pace will be 3:30. And your 6-minute mile pace will be 3 minutes. Somewhere in that window, you need to start working at running that fast and getting, your legs used to that cadence, as well as your heart and lungs used to breathing that hard. And eventually you're going to breathe less and get in better shape and be able to handle that 7-minute mile, that 6:30 mile, that 6-minute mile, not just for 1 mile, not just for 2 miles, but for all 3. But it takes time. I would say out of all the fitness tests in the military, this is the one that takes the most time. Because when people start running, what happens? Right? If you're new to running, you're probably going to start getting overuse injuries that look like foot pain, like plantar fasciitis. You're going to get some muscle pain in the Achilles and calves. You're going to get shin splints, knee tendonitis, all the way up into the hips. So if you're not used to running, you have to progress logically just to build up to a 3-mile timed run, right? I don't recommend jumping on a run for the first day and doing 3 miles. In fact, I would recommend your first run should be right about 1 mile. And then walk another mile, right? And then the next week, maybe pick it up to 1.25, and then 1.5, and so on. And then by the time you've spent a month of running, you may be able to do 1 3-mile run and not feel sore or have injuries that are going to stop you from running. You can also do some non-impact cardio to prepare for this type of run. In fact, if you're new to running, I would almost recommend a split between non-impact and running. So let's say your limit to run is 10 minutes, right? For your first week. Every time you run, you can only run for 10 minutes, but you can do a 20-minute bike before that 10-minute run or after. So this way you get 30 minutes of cardio and only 10 minutes of impact. So I have a lot of running plans on my website that you can check out, and programs for this Marine Corps PFT that will help you with this. But just remember, running is a progression. Do not jump into 20 miles a week the first week you start running. My advice is start your first week with about 5 miles a week total, and then ramp yourself up there. So as you can see, this is going to require patience and a whole lot of effort and discipline in order to get good at this test. So don't blow it off. Don't think you can take it the first time you ever meet a Marine for the official fitness test is the first time you ever practice this thing. You need to practice this thing on your own multiple times for multiple months if you want to do well in it.
And that's the Marine PFT in a nutshell. Again, it's the toughest conventional physical fitness test the US military has to offer. If you're someone who's wanting to become a Marine, you're definitely going to have to train for it. And for those interested in getting into different communities like Marine EOD, Recon, MARSOC, you name it, you're going to need a first-class score. Stu, what are your closing thoughts on the Marine PFT?
So that's the Marine Corps PFT. And as you can see, it's not your average military entrance exam. This is one of those things that you need to study for many months in order to do well on. Otherwise, it's going to hurt you, I promise you. If you're not ready for this test, you're probably going to see shin splints, knee tendonitis, shoulder pain, pulled muscles, if you haven't done enough work to be able to push yourself into these high repetition calisthenics and this 3-mile timed run. So my advice is get on a program and give yourself a good 6 to 8 weeks training specifically for this test, and then watch your results increase and your confidence increase. Next thing you know, you're going to be a Marine. So good luck to you. Thank you for even thinking about serving, and I wish you the best.
Stu, I really appreciate you joining us here for the third time. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure having you. To wrap things up, the Marine Corps PFT is an event everyone needs to conquer who wants to become a Marine. Train hard and smart, and if you listen to and execute what was discussed in this video, you will be well on your way. As a reminder, I've included a link in the description to a Marine PFT calculator, where you can input your age and numbers to see your scores. If you're interested in becoming a Recon Marine, we have an online store dedicated to providing you with the gear you'll need to train for selection. Use code MOTIVATED10 at checkout to get an additional 10% off. The link to our website will be in the description and pinned comment below. Well, that is the down and dirty of the Marine Corps Physical Fitness Test. If you learned something from this video, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. As always, thank you for watching. Do you even want to be here?
All your friends are subscribing to General Discharge, and you don't even want to be here.